From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the Hourly News Blast. Advocate is reporting President Donald Trump used Tuesday night's State of the Union address to single out a teenage girl's story, and in doing so, cast the broader transgender community as a political target, turning the nation's most watched annual speech into a familiar culture war flashpoint. At a moment when Americans are still grappling with high healthcare costs, struggling with economic uncertainty over affordability, and a contentious debate over immigration enforcement, the president instead trained his fire on transgender youth, a population whose size and medical care, researchers say, are routinely misrepresented in political debate. During a speech filled with falsehoods and bravado, Trump began by claiming that before he took office again in January 2025, the U.S. was a, quote, dead country, end quote, that it is now the hottest in the world before boasting we ended DEI in America. Yeah, but we didn't end climate change. Anyway, the White House invited a Virginia teenager, Sage Blair, and her mother, Michelle Blair, to sit in the House gallery. Trump spoke about Sage's harrowing story, accusing Virginia school officials of secretly socially transitioning her to a new gender without her parents' knowledge. Oh. Blair's family claims that school officials affirmed her gender identity without notifying her parents. The Blair family alleges in ongoing litigation that she ran away from home and was subsequently trafficked for sex, and that the school's actions led to her traumatization. Trump used the anecdote to argue for national action, telling Congress that no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will, adding, "We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately," except that really isn't happening. We'll get to that later. The family has been central to repeated efforts in the Virginia legislature to pass so-called Sage's Law, a proposal that would require schools to notify parents if a student discloses that they're transgender and restrict even socially affirming practices like using their preferred name or pronouns without parental consent. Civil rights groups have described the bill as a forced outing measure that would endanger vulnerable students and erode the civil rights of transgender and non-binary youth. When only Republicans stood in agreement with Trump's words, he let his anger show. "Nobody stands up," Trump said, pointing at Democratic lawmakers. "These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy. We're lucky we have a country with people like this. Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time. Shut up, Grandpa, and go back to the home." According to data collected by UCLA Law School's Williams Institute, about 2.8 million people, or 1% of the entire population in the U.S., identify as transgender, with 3.3% of youth ages 13 to 17, that's roughly 724,000 teenagers nationwide, identify as transgender, an August 2025 report found. 724,000 is about the size of everyone living in Cincinnati, Ohio, if that. We'll have more on this story tonight on our evening news blast. If you're watching the video versions of our news content on YouTube, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. PEP Radio is available on the Live 365 app, the PEP Radio page at paequality.com, Roku, and Alexa. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.